If you haven't already, please check in using our event check-in at aka.ms/reactor check-in with event ID 14069. I'll also share that in the chat. And by checking in, you'll receive some links to content that goes along with today's session. We'll also be adding this recording to our Reactor YouTube page as well as the series page. It should be up there in about 24 to 48 hours, and I will share some links to that. Finally, I will share a link to our Reactor survey. If you have a few minutes, we greatly appreciate your feedback. I will now pass it over to Chloe and Ornella.
It's beep boop time. Ooh, yes, the saxophone in the chat. We love to see it. I see we have some fans of the songs. Hi, Ornella. How you doing?
Hello. I'm good. How are you?
I'm great. This is my favorite part of the week, truly. I just love beep boop so much. Look at Franklin. I'm going to make you the big boy here. Let's see.
I have to say, I did not arrange this. This is just, we usually don't give up a glimpse of Franklin this early, but he just happened to settle down here. So he might be joining us for the duration of the show. Who's to say?
If you've never joined before, Franklin is our mascot, truly, of this show. Just taking a simple, sensible snooze at the moment. We'll wake him up with some AI and ML shortly. Y'all, welcome to Beep Boop. Let us know in the chat. Any first timers here? Are you coming back? Are you returning? What brings you here? Are you a Microsoft Student Ambassador? Are you a fan of Franklin?
Where are you joining from?
Where are you joining from? Great question. I'm joining from Oakland, California. I do not have a dog with me, but I do have these lovely plushies of our docs mascot, which we're going to be using Microsoft Learn in some docs today. I've got Bit, who's our team mascot here, and ET, of course.
Mike just reminding us that Franklin is actually the star of the show.
Oh my
Calling
gosh.
him a mascot would be mean.
He heard. That is so true, Mike. The true star of the show is Franklin. He's giving us such a look right now. I'm living for it. Ooh, returning from New York City. I wish I was from New
Welcome
York.
back.
And what brings you all to this stream today? Truly, we tried to make this stream around, who's in the chat, who's joining us, what you want to learn. But should we tell the folks what we do on this show? I realized we haven't really said what we do on this show, Ornella.
We should. We usually give a little bit of explanation because, not everyone beep boops every week. We have Donovan, new from Toronto, Canada. Welcome.
Welcome.
But yeah, Beep Boop is our cozy show for learning AI and ML. This is a judgment-free zone, no prereqs required. Chloe and I usually working our way through a Microsoft Learn module, different topic we choose every week. We've been doing a lot of basketball-related things in the past few weeks, so learning a lot about basketball and AI and ML, just a little special.
I've learned more about basketball probably than I have since the Sacramento Kings were in the finals circa 6th grade for me. So this has been a great refresher, not only on AIML, but if you want to learn about basketball stats, go watch the previous eps, truly.
Yeah, seriously. I agree, Chloe. I still remember going to see Allen Iverson play for the Sixers. I had a little keychain of his Air Force Ones that I had my house key on.
Wait, I love this. This is new. This is exclusive info we were not told on a previous. Are the Sixers? I'm sorry, I do not know.
Philadelphia.
Philly.
Philadelphia
Okay.
Sixers, where I'm from. Yeah, Allen Iverson, definitely one of my first crushes.
I love that. I'm trying to think if I had any Kings merch. I definitely had like a big foam finger. Didn't have it on a keychain though. Wish I did. But yeah, this is our cozy, fun, hence the dog and the stuffies here, judgment-free zone to learn about AI, ML, sports, facts, Toon Squad members. The module we've been going through has been Space Jam: A New Legacy themed, so that's been fun.
Whatever the audience wants to tell us, we also incorporate that into the...
Yeah. Ooh, we've got joining from Auckland. I wish I was in New Zealand. That sounds so great.
We have Gerald from Maryland, Zishan from Toronto. Welcome, everyone.
People from around the world joining to Beep and Boop. I want to say they're here for us, but let's be real, they're here for Franklin. And that's okay. We love Franklin, and he's a vital part of this stream. Let's see. Where should we even begin? Should we do a quick, first of all, how was your week since we last Beep Booped? You feeling good? Have any AI or ML in your life?
Let's see. So I'm working on a new Learn module, actually, and it's about AI and ML. Actually, data science, which is really the first step to the gateway to AI and ML. And yeah, it's about accessing data sets. Like we've talked about on the show that, in order to do machine learning, a lot of people don't realize that the first thing you need is a data set. And there's like a million different ways to find one and get one, and a bunch of free open source ones on the internet. So it's a whole module about why you'd need a data set, how to get one, how to bring it into your environment. And it's kind of cool because it's stuff we covered on the show. But just creating a brand new module really around that first piece of the puzzle. And then it'll be part of a bigger learning path that has a couple more components. But that's what I've been working on, which is cool.
Fun. Totally related. Like data is like hand in hand with, I've learned, actually, we need a name for our like fan base, right? Like beep boopers. Let us know in the chat what we should like. Beepers, boopers. Beepers is kind of cute. BBs, our little BBs. I love that. I was thinking of you and all of our BBs because I was playing around. Okay, I know this is a shock. I know that I work at Microsoft, but I've never played around with Excel, like formulas and stuff. And I got very very into it on Friday. Like I was literally like, I'm hacking the mainframe, but with Excel, because our lovely, lovely friend who made the module, one of the modules we're working on today, Sarah Guthels, kind of showed us some of her Excel wizardry.
Magic, yeah.
Y'all, I did not know how powerful Excel is. I tweeted about this and people were like, oh my God, yes, Excel is the best. And I agree. I love Excel. I should have worn my shirt that says I always Excel and has the Excel logo on it. But I was thinking about you and all our BBs, Ornella, because I was thinking about clean data because we spent so much time cleaning our data. I think that was our last episode or the episode before. And I truly just like, first of all, I wish that I could have used machine learning to predict what some of these numbers were in this Excel sheet I was working in. Yeah. But I saw so many like similarities between what we were doing and like making, you know, sums and like kind of predicting outcomes and, you know, what's the word I'm looking for? Averages and things like that. So I was thinking of all our BBs and I'm so glad we have a name for them now. Brilliant.
Let us know if you have a better one.
Yeah, let us know. Beepers could be cute because we do have this very like 90s aesthetic, like a beeper. But I don't think Ornella is old enough to ever even have held a beeper. So like, let us know in the chat. What do the people want to be called? Tell us.
Yeah, I did not have a beeper. My first phone was a pink Razor.
Wow, I had a Nokia. Which was really cool because they had these like plastic things that you could change the front cover with. And I had a Little Mermaid 2 cover because I was very, very cool in 6th grade. Played a lot of Snake back in my day. Shout out in the chat if you love Snake. Okay. Beep boxers. Okay. Beep like a beat boxer. Call me Bitman if you want to reach me. We love a Kim Possible reference. Spencer, I'm very impressed at this deep pull from Kim Possible. Very on brand for the show. Thank you. Shout out to Christina Milian. I feel like that's who sang that.
Yes. I think so. I think she's the voice. Yeah.
Ooh, we have the puppy as a star and somehow not moving. Yeah, taking a nap at the oh, he perked up. Franklin Hurd. Thanks for joining us, Danny. Exciting to have you in the chat today.
Can we do a little recap of last session? Yes. I have something cool to show off, so let's do that.
Let me do the intro. Previously on Beep Boop.
Amazing. So last time we built this web app with Azure Static Web Apps, GitHub Actions, and the data that we were using from Space Jam, A New Legacy, the reimagining of the original Space Jam. And we were simulating a basketball game. So we kind of ended on this note of we had everything set up and we were gonna put in a bunch of JavaScript to make the app look cool. So I went ahead and did that, and let me show you all. So I put in all of the JavaScript into the main.js file here. And if you follow along on the Learn module, it will take you through all the JavaScript, explain it all. You can even do the code tour, which we talked about last time, and it will step-by-step guide you through. But I just want to show off this awesome app. So
we've got players now.
Yeah. So you would choose the file, and this is the game stats CSV file that we have in that folder. Click that. And then we have all the players and all of the stats of the players, and you can click start the game. Oh, you have to pick 5 players to be on the court first. Hold on. Who do we want to pick, Chloe?
Ooh, okay. Let's see. I'm picking from the left or the right?
The left.
Let's do, I mean, is my girl Lola on there?
Where is
no.
She?
Yes, there she is.
Is this her?
Yeah. Lola, Tweety.
And it shows the average player efficiency rating of the team.
Whoa. Wait, do I need another one? Who's red guy?
This red guy? I'm not really sure. Can pick him though.
I've seen him before. Yeah, that one.
Maybe we want to pick the ones with the really high PER.
Ooh, okay. Who has high ones? Lola seems like she is.
Oh, is this Porky Pig or something like that?
Which one?
This guy, 36. That's really good.
Yeah, Porky Pig. Wait, he's above Lola. Dang.
Yeah. Okay, we need one more.
How about Grandma's pretty high. Oh no, wait, who's that? Is that a Daffy Duck? 30.12.
30.12. Wait, what
He's like, he's balling. He's like,
oh, this guy. Okay, we have 5 people on the court. And then if you click start the game, Q1 happened. It's 12 seconds long. And then at the end of the quarter, so it like simulates the quarter, and then at the end of the quarter, it shows you the new PER stats, and then you can decide who you want to take out and who you want to put in for the next quarter. How cool is that?
that's so cool. First of all, love that this app, shout out to Sarah Guthels, highlights the importance of hydration, even if you are a member of the Toon Squad. Secondly, I feel like we spun this up like witchcraft, and I love it because this was like very easy to just truly input our data. Because if you did not join before, you can check out our replays at aka.ms/beepboop replay to see all of the amazing summaries we've been doing that break down all these episodes. But what you may have missed, if this is your first stream, is we cleaned this data. As we said on the last stream, we triple washed it like Whole Foods salad. And we made this beautiful data set that has allowed us to hydrate these Looney Tunes, which I love. But wait, this is so cool. So, okay, let me make sure that I understand. So we are selecting them from the water break side, and then we're adding them to the team, and then the current PER is the total PER, PER, I guess I should say. Not
the whole team.
The whole team. And the whole team, I'm sorry, is...
these folks in the middle.
There's only 5 people on a basketball team?
Yeah, on the court at a time. Yeah.
Really? No. What?
Yeah. Aren't there?
Are there? I guess 10 total?
Sure,
I don't know. It's been a while since I watched a b-ball game. Someone confirm.
I'm pretty sure. I used to play basketball.
No, I trust you. I'm just like, I feel like there was like 20 people.
Well, so there's usually 10 on the court, right? Because there's 5 from each team.
Danny says, yeah. Okay. I believe you guys. I believe you. Oh, hi, Brenda North. So lovely to see you in the chat. Thanks for joining. Okay, cool.
So yeah, this is a cool web app we made with Azure Static Web Apps, GitHub Actions.
So I have a question. So like, if we're going to treat this kind of like a real game, right? With the data set that we have, the PER is not changing. So it's always constant. So whatever we put in here is going to be... Okay, so
it simulates each quarter.
Oh, right.
Because remember we did the game simulations? Yeah, so if you're not sure what we're talking about, check out the replay link that I just put in the chat. But yeah, so it runs a simulation and then it calculates like the PER for that quarter for this group of players. So then we can add more players too. Oh no. Okay, we can get rid of some and add some others.
So interesting. Okay, so technically you could add the same players different times and it would be a different total PER because we've made simulation data for this. So it's like hypotheticals. So in theory, if you liked football, and I'm LOLing at this comment from Brendan, I will not ask Chloe to be on my pub trivia team for her sports knowledge noted. Honestly, do not. Just have me for the musical theater trivia. You will be golden. Such a great point.
So true.
So in theory, let's say that I like football and I want to make like a simulation for my fantasy league, I could like technically maybe predict whatever the equivalent to PER is for football, right? Like,
yeah, I think there's a lot of that goes on. Like when you're picking your teams and stuff, I'm pretty sure they already give you like really good metrics on how successful they think a certain player will be, because they have so much data from past seasons, right? And they can just like kind of give you a rough estimate. But then there's like a ton of stuff that you can't predict, like injuries, which are like if someone gets injured on your fantasy football team, they're out for the rest of the season or whatever. So then you're just like, you couldn't have predicted that, but you did have a good sense of how good they would be if they were in the season, right?
Wait a second. I just realized I know a way to put this in my own terms that Brendan North will appreciate. I have seen folks do predictions for one of my favorite television shows, RuPaul's Drag Race, based on how many lip sync wins they've had, and they like create stats around it to predict based on previous winners, based on number of lip syncs won.
Oh like, my God.
Maybe this is a project that I do outside of Beep Boop. Details coming soon. But yeah, this seems like such a cool, and this is open source, by the way, y'all. Like, first of all, go to aka.ms/beepboop links 3 if you want to check out the module that we're talking about here.
Right.
And you can check out the recap, replay stuff as well. But when Sarah was joined us in the chat last week, I believe, or the week before, she was like, please take this open source data and do whatever you want with it. And I say, please, it would make us so happy if our boxers, whatever we've decided to call you, if you take this and you create like your own prediction simulation stuff, we love to see it. Like, we would love to see what you create with this.
Yeah. And the JavaScript and stuff for all of the app is also in Learn module. And you can just edit that JavaScript. You can make it real basketball players. You could make it football players, you know, whatever floats your boat. But you can make it the RuPaul's contestants.
Pokemon? I mean, like, Pokemon battles are a thing. I feel like there's a lot of opportunities to like, I shared an example on our last stream that there was a really awesome team for the Imagine Cup, this most recent competition, who simulated cattle data for cows on how they would like graze and roam New Zealand. Shout out to our New Zealand watcher. And I thought that was so cool. I was like, oh my gosh, are we in a simulation and our cows the simulation? Like, but it's so cool. Like, I had never really thought of a use case for cow simulated data, but you never know. Very cool. I love this.
But yeah,
I will drop a link to this module in the chat so people can check it out.
Awesome.
And I'm going to.
And then Chloe, do you want to share what we're working on today?
Yes. Okay. First, I'm going to check this link because y'all, I spelled beep boop wrong earlier, and it basically was like bebop. Okay. I'm gonna. Let's say that worked. Okay, aa.ms/bebop. Cowboy bebop. Beep boop replay 3. No, beep boop links 3.
Links 3, yeah. I just want to share, if my mom is watching, shout out to my mom. Hi, Mom. I was telling her about our show, and English is not my mom's first language, and she called it beer pop, which is another thing maybe we could tell our viewers.
I feel like this is very similar to when I went to my engineering boot camp, Hackbright, and everyone in my family had a different name, like Hackburp, like so many different names for it. I love all the iterations of beep boop that get shared with us, and because of my own misspellings often. Okay. Yeah. So, y'all, we are starting another module today. Very exciting. We are going to build an AI web app using Python and Flask. And don't worry, if you've never used Python or Flask before, this module is great. I walked through it earlier, and there's literally, like right here, a whole module on how to install Python. Like, there's so much here, even like what to add for VS Code. So everything that you need is right here. I would recommend, if you're more than welcome to follow along with us, but we have recordings of this afterwards. We do these summary posts, so you can either follow along with us, you can go back and do it later with us, but we are going to go through this today. And if you've never played with Python and Flask before, welcome. This is the first language that I learned in my boot camp. So it's been a lovely walk down memory lane to do Flask templates again. Shout out to Flask.
Chloe is teaching me this time. So I think I'm going to do the live coding, and Chloe is going to supply all of the knowledge that we need. And I will be asking a million questions. And if you have questions, please add on.
Yes. And if you are really good at Python and Flask, chime in. Like, that's like the fun of this stream, right? Like, we get stuck on the stream and we super welcome and appreciate your help. So help us debug. Come along, join the ride. But I'm going to be navigating and Ornella is going to be driving today. So I'm going to be sort of your narrator through our journey of Python and Flask. But basically what this module goes through is a couple of things. We're going to set up our Flask development environment. We're going to set up a Flask form, and then we're going to use the Azure Translator Services, which is part of the Azure Cognitive Services, to translate our text magically. So we don't even have to build the code for that. We're going to use Azure for that. Yes, I agree, Danny. We love mother support. We're all, shout out to any moms watching. We love moms on this show. Big fan of moms and dogs and dads. We don't discriminate. We love dads too. We love everyone. All right. Ooh, watching as your first time. Thanks for hosting this. Appreciate you joining us, Oscar.
Thanks for joining.
So I'm going to share your screen, Ornella. Is that?
Yeah, let's share mine because I've got the Learn module up.
Sweet.
And we can.
Danny's mom is not watching, but shout out to Danny's mom. We love Danny's mom.
I like this.
Okay. I'm going to get situated so I am not looking profile this whole stream. Let me get my life together here. Okay, there I go. Okay, shout out in the chat if you've used Flask or Python before. As we say on every single episode, there are nary a prereq for these Beep Boop sessions.
Yeah.
And we'll probably get through this whole module today. If we don't, we'll tack the rest of it onto the next one. So we're going to be going till 5 p.m. PST today. And yeah, okay, let's buckle up. So let's go down a journey of, so we put the link in the chat, aka.ms/ oh, no, we didn't. We need to put 4. AKA.
I'm on it.
Okay, cool. Ornella's on it.
Okay,
and
so that one, Beep Boop Links 4, is the link to the Learn module. And then the first thing in the Learn module is to download VS Code. So if you don't have it already, let me throw that link in there.
Yes. And honestly, y'all, I will be 100% honest with you. I have not touched Flask in a minute. Like, I don't think I've really played with Flask and Python since I was whiteboarding for some of my OG interviews back in the day, because I've played with so many languages since then. And this module not only made me take a trip down memory lane, but honestly made me understand Python and Flask a lot more. So if you're looking to start out with Python and Flask for the first time, very low barrier to entry here. So definitely check out this module. I know we're technically paid to say that, but it's true. And this comes from someone who was very confused and had a lot of imposter syndrome during her boot camp. So shout out to whoever made this module. Bye, Danny. Enjoy the lake. All righty. Let's get started. So prereqs. Ornella, do you have Python?
I do. I have Python on my computer. Let me just double check by doing this guy.
Because that's important, and I almost forgot to add the Python plugin when I was doing this the first time, and I was like, why isn't anything working? So not only install Python, but also install the Python 3 module. That was a rookie mistake I did on my new device when I was going through this the first time. And also choose the instructions for your configuration. We are going to be going through on a Mac. Yes, I'm seeing a Mac background here. Mm-hmm. Okay, don't tell anybody, but we use Macs. here at Microsoft. We develop on all kinds of devices.
Yeah, we have to support all of our developers. So
yeah. And we love everything from Zune to Windows Phone to Macs. We love it all here. And also obviously make sure you have Visual Studio Code, which as Ornella shared here in the chat, aka.ms/beepboopvs code is where you can go and get that if you don't have it. Okay, so Flask. How much do you know about Flask, Ornella?
0.
Okay, cool. I've been thinking about this all day, how I'm going to explain Flask to our Beavers? No. We're workshopping it. We'll come to a conclusion by the end. Frankies? No. We'll work on it. Okay, so Python is the language we're going to be writing in, obviously.
Right.
Python, our .py files, all of that. But Flask, and I totally forgot to bring my skeleton son for this moment. Flask is sort of the skeleton or the bones of our application. And it's really kind of, it reminds me a lot of Ruby, like that it's very templated and structured. Like think about a one-page web app, or think about a portfolio site where you have an about me, a resume page, all these different pages that it goes to. Flask really is kind of the structure, and we'll also be using something called Bootstrap, one of my favorite tools, to really make our application structured and in the correct format that we need it in. But at a high level, and I'm literally reading this in the module, this is not me just having this memorized. So we had to install Visual Studio Code, install Python, if they're not already installed.
Should I go ahead and make this directory here?
Yes. So create a directory for your code. And perfection. And literally, y'all, in this module, it even shows you how to check what version you have for Python. Literally tells you the commands you need to write in the terminal. Like if you need that kind of hand-holding, like sometimes I totally forget what commands are in the terminal, to make your directory and CD into it. And then after we've done that, after we've created the project directory, we really just need to create our virtual environment. Now, have you used or heard of a virtual environment before, Ornella?
I've heard of it, but I have never created my own.
So this was something that confused me a lot when I first started programming. So if we've got any newbies in the chat, shout out, no shame in the newbie game. So basically when we're creating a Python app, there's all these dependencies, right? Like we got to include the correct version of Python. We've got to include Flask, any sort of libraries that we're using. And oftentimes we don't want to download those things directly on our computer. Like for example, if I wanted to run my application that I made with Flask and Python from Hackbright, it was probably a completely different version of all these different dependencies and libraries, like all of these different things that I need, kind of the ingredients, so to speak, to make my app. And really what we're doing by creating a virtual environment is creating a safe space, just like BeepBoop, where we can download, or we can kind of think of it like a container, sort of like a Docker container in a way. It's a little bit like that, where it keeps a version of our application with all its dependencies and requirements within there. So that'll make a lot more sense as we add those in here. So
cool. I feel like that would be great for like students too, who are like, if your professor gives you an assignment and it's like, download these like 25 things. I remember when I was in college, I would, on my like tiny MacBook Air that was like filled to the brim, I would not actually want to download anything.
Right.
So it would be nice to just, whip up a little environment and then be able to just do it all in there, and then it disappears. Does it disappear after?
Basically, so once you end the virtual environment, like you can spin up another one, just like a container. It was actually so crazy going through this module because it had been so long since I had spun up a virtual environment, and literally like my fingers knew where to go to do the, .env, create the env file. I did so much of this during my boot camp. We've got a suggestion, Bebop from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. We may run into a copyright infringement there, but I like where you're going, Oscar. This is good. Seth says usually the V envs stick around. Yes.
So it's a folder?
So
maybe you explain this later. Sorry, I'll stop interrupting you.
yeah, you're totally good. That's why we're here. We're here to learn. Okay, where did I leave off here?
This little guy right here in my terminal window, does that mean that I'm in the virtual environment? I activated it.
Yes.
Okay, so we're in.
We're in because you did, yes, dot bin activate. We're activated. So yeah, Seth explained it perfectly. It stores a specific version of Python interpreter as well as the dependencies for your app. So it's like this safe little hobbit home for your all the info that you need within your safe little environment here.
Amazing.
But we also need a couple other things, right? We need Flask and we need a couple other libraries to create this project. So we are going to make a requirements.txt file, which is just like it sounds. Also, make sure you spell requirements right, because I have been known to spell it wrong and not understand why it was working in the past. So we're going to make a requirements.txt file that literally is sort of our recipe. It reminds me kind of like when you spin up a Docker container, right? Like you're like, hey, here's what I need. Here's the versions I need. Here's the stuff that I need. And anytime you run this locally, or if you, for example, send this project to someone and say, hey, look at this thing that I built, you can run it on your machine. It is going to download these requirements, which in our case is going to be Flask, Python.m, and requests.
Okay, so I'm going to make that little folder. Requirements.txt, and then add those 3 things that you just said.
And what I love about this module is it literally has a step that's like, make sure you save the file by clicking Control S or Command S on a Mac, which oftentimes I will forget to do. So again, shout out to whoever made it.
A productivity tip for VS Code is that you should definitely go to File, Autosave, and make sure you have it checked off.
What? I did not know this was a thing. Wait, where do I go? File, Autosave?
File, Autosave.
Okay, this is great news for me, who is just constantly sanity checking the save button all the time.
I was making a video about productivity tips in VS Code, and I was like, this seems so silly, but I actually think it needs to be included.
Like, when would I guess, like, we're so spoiled nowadays with autosave on so many apps. Like,
yeah,
it seems like an extra, I don't know. I always feel like I'm just like paranoid and like always saving. Yeah, Seth, I had no idea. We learned so many amazing VS Code things from Ornella. I'm like, what?
It's actually the most underrated feature. And if you have your settings sync on in VS Code, it will sync across all of your instances of VS Code. So you never have to turn the setting on and off again.
Okay, I thought it was just me who didn't know about this, but like it makes me feel better that Seth didn't know either, because I was like, excuse me, ma'am? Cool. Okay,
so we have this.
We did this, and we're going to save the file. Well, we don't have to save the file because we have autosave on.
Save.
And then we're going to return to the command or the terminal window and perform the installation by using pip to run the following command. Pip install -r requirements.txt. And that will download all the necessary libraries and dependencies that we need. Let's see.
Okay, I get this. Sometimes this is just a warning that there's a new version of pip, but it's fine.
Yeah,
and then you can update it later if you want.
The note literally says, like, there's a chance that it may say it's out of date, but totally fine. Don't be alarmed. Congratulations, you're now set up for your environment for development. Thrilling. So if you're following along, you now have a step-by-step guide on how to get your environment set up. How cool is that? Thank you, Ornella, for driving this ship. I'm still like, my mind is so blown by autosave, like in VS Code. Like, I can't move on from that. That's just like changed my life completely. Okay, so Flask fundamentals. So I won't go through this word by word, but essentially this is what I was talking about earlier. So Flask is great. We love Flask. Really great to work and use as the front end for backends or APIs. And yeah, it's a really awesome framework. And we're going to be using some core concepts like routing, methods, templating. But let's explore these concepts. So we'll walk through this very quickly. So basically, y'all, when a user uses a web app, they indicate what they want it to do. So this is what we were talking about earlier about, like, you know, if there's a link or a button. I like to use the example of a personal website because I think that's the most basic, like, fundamental version of this, like an about me, a resume page, a link to hamsterdance.com, my favorite website, which I checked on yesterday and was not running. Someone please confirm if Hamsterdance is still running. I got a little concerned for a second. So yeah, they have these they have these examples here, like adventureworks.com, like a main page, and then like adventureworks.com/product/widget. So this is like, you know, when you go to something like oldnavy.com, as I've been known to do, and put like oldnavy.com/pop-culture t-shirts, various things of that nature, or completing a purchase. They have as an example here, viewing your cart, which I've been known to do on a daily basis. And then, so we don't really have to worry about that first part of the URL, like the domain. So really what we're doing with Flask is creating these sort of like subsets, these like additional pages, or these routes, as we call them in Flask. So it's like tapping a button on a mobile app, or, you know, all kinds of ways that we use this in real life. So if we want it to respond to a particular request, we provide a function to it. So there's a lot of talk of like routes and maps here. We're not dealing with actual GPS or maps, we promise. This is literally like, think of it like your file structure, really, like sub-files to your file. And you'll see that once we start building this, we'll have like a template file. We'll be routing, literally routing to these different things. So shall we go into methods or verbs? Okay, so bunch of different methods. We can do get, we can do post. Anybody need a get or a post review? Should we do a get and a post review?
I feel like that makes sense. Like, it's kind of like, I feel like in computer science, like intro, you learn like getting and setting functions, right? So like you can get a value or you can set a value.
Totally.
Is that similar? I guess post indicates that the user needs to send us something and receive a response. So that would be a return value, I guess.
Like, I guess if we used our earlier example, which wasn't a Flask application, but like we would get the data, like we would want to, but then we would want to post the PER scores that we got from the players that we get in our queue to submit, if that makes sense. But it's controlled by the application. So if the user navigates to the URL directly, they can access the page with a get. And then when they select a button for a form, they typically do a post. So let's say you're filling out, let's use me as an example again. I'm on oldnavy.com yet again, buying another shirt. If I'm inputting my email to say, hey, please stop sending me emails so I stop buying shirts.
And like, send me coupons.
I'm like, please send me coupons. We're not sponsored by Old Navy. I just have bought a lot of shirts from them recently.
Not yet.
Not yet. But we're open to it. But yeah, so like a post request and like get, it's kind of, I guess it's sort of self-explanatory in the language, right? Like we're getting information, we're posting information. And then templates are also super important to cover. So we're going to be using HTML, hypertext markup language. And we also, like, so you can use cascading style sheets, all kinds of ways that you can make your application beautiful. But basically this template allows you to write all of the HTML and then just has placeholders for like dynamic info. So when I built my first Python app, it was a social media, surprise, surprise, is an app that posted to your social channels at a future time that you specified. So I basically had a template that was like, okay, when you enter your tweet or your, you know, Facebook post that you want to put in here, after you've entered it, in this part of the HTML, put the, tweet here. So you can literally just kind of direct like, hey, like this is how I want this to look. And then you can get really fancy with like Bootstrap and CSS to make it really pretty. So this example that they have here in the module is welcome name, which if you've ever had a recruiter reach out or a newsletter where they're like, hello person, like
contact name,
hello contact name, have gotten many a, what is that, MailChimp email that does not input my name. That's what it's not Flask in that situation, or a template, we should say, but it's template data like that.
Yeah.
So really that's how we're going to make the structure of our app, is we're going to indicate it. Ooh, we've got a knowledge check. Okay, help us, y'all. Okay. Flask is a framework for building web apps.
Python only.
I think it's Python only. Also, I did it earlier. Okay, we did it. Cool.
Yay.
Okay. Exciting. I think we're going to get through just the right amount of this module today, and it's going to be great. And then we'll pick up where we left off next week, y'all. Okay, so now that we've had that lovely review on a trip down memory lane for Flask and Python, which also, like, that's what I love about this module is we're not just being given like copy and paste stuff to put over, although there is a lot of copy and paste here, but it's actually explaining what these things are. So a lot better than copying and pasting from Stack Overflow, which I've
super helpful for me who has no idea what is going on with Flask. But now I feel like I get it, which is really cool.
Yay. Okay, so now we got to create our app, and we're going to perform the following steps. We're going to create our core application. So that's like the main app. We're going to add the route for our application. So if you remember before, we were talking about like a route to the resume page, a route to the About Me page. We're going to create the HTML template for our site. So that's literally what we were just talking about, like hello name. So making the skeleton, if you will, the bones of, just love to say bones. Bones of our application, and then we're going to test it. So seems pretty simple, seems pretty straightforward. Let's see if we can do it or not.
Okay, we got this. So I made the app.py file, and then I'm going to add this code to create my application.
Mitch, this song is playing in my head. I caption a lot of my Instagrams with spooky scary skeletons. Oh yeah, Brendan has definitely received a hello first name.
Oh my god!
Amongst us. Wait, what was that one? HBO sent out like, oh, I guess it wasn't a template, but they sent
the test one, the integration test,
integration test forever. That seems like a million years ago, but it was probably like 5 weeks ago.
Yeah.
So cool. So we are now in VS Code, and Ornella has copied and pasted this lovely code in there. And just to kind of break down what we're doing in this, like, I remember when I first started out with Flask, I was like, I don't know what any of this means, but I know that it makes my Flask application work and run. So we're just basically saying it references Flask, which is the core of any Flask application. And then we use render template when we want to return our HTML. So like, remember our HTML is sort of the template of like how we're going to put all the info in there. And then app is our core application. So that's like our main, domain there, so to speak. And then so we'll use it when we register our routes in the next step. It'll make a lot of sense in a moment, y'all.
So let's add that.
Let's add the route. And this is going to be added to the end of app.py.
So it's right here.
Perfection. And let's walk through this real quick. So we're indicating the route that we want to create. And then the path will be /, which is the default route. So like when you go to like, bing.com / is going to take you to bing.com. Yeah, and then we indicate that we will be using Git. So in this case, we're really only we're not posting anything. We're just kind of getting to start. We're just doing like a basic like website here because it's our main thing. And then we are going to Flask will automatically call the function declared immediately below the decorator index in our case. And then in the body of index, we will indicate that we'll return an HTML template named index.html to the user. I know that was a lot of words.
So we need to make that now.
Yes.
Okay.
So now we got to make the HTML that we're saying, yo, when we render this template, when we go to the main slash, aka like the main like website here, we want it to render this template, which is index.html.
Okay, so I made the templates folder, and then I'm going to add the index.html file, and then I'm going to toss this guy in here.
If you've never seen HTML before, welcome. Very fun. If you've never played with LiveJournal back in the day, this is how I first started to code without even knowing. I was coding lots of MySpace templates and LiveJournal. Shout out in the chat if you were on LiveJournal. I don't remember my username.
MySpace, I remember.
And really what this is doing, like if you just look at the HTML code, it's very, very basic. We're just declaring like all the different values. So as we mentioned, this is going to be a translation app. So we have like a div class of a container that's saying translation service. And then we've got our different languages in the drop down, it looks like. Yes.
Yeah, so these are the values there.
And we have a submit button to submit it. So like this is what makes our website look cool and pretty. I mean, we're going to make it a lot prettier later. We're going to add like so many amazing things to it. But yeah, the text area is where the user wants to translate. We've got a drop-down list where they'll indicate what language they want to translate to. And then if you want to add more languages, there's a bunch of other options. But now...
Should we see how it looks?
Yeah, let's see how it looks.
Okay.
Ooh, Oscar had MySpace. Yes, I miss MySpace. I wish I could log into my MySpace and like take a trip down memory lane.
Okay, so I'm gonna do this, which is to set the Flask runtime to development, which means that the server will automatically reload with every change. So just gonna put that in my integrated terminal. And then I'm gonna run the application.
Moment of truth.
And see that that's running. And then it's so right here where it says running on, and then it will have the link for you. It should be like localhost 5000. So then you can go to your browser and type in localhost 5000, and there it is.
Look at that. We just made that. I mean, we copied and pasted it from the Learn module, but we just made that. Beautiful.
Doing it live.
Oh, yes, Mike. I also do not miss the anxiety of choosing top friends to be featured on MySpace, especially when it became a trend to have top 4. I was like, oh my gosh, like.
No, I thought it was top 8.
It was top 8, but you could edit the HTML to just do 4. You could just have like your boyfriend and your BFF and like a fan page for Tia Tequila or whatever, whatever, mind you. And I agree, Brendan, if MySpace and LiveJournal kept that momentum, I think I would have gotten coding a lot sooner as well.
And Neopets.
Neopets for sure. Okay, so wait, what did we just do? I got really excited about MySpace.
We just showed off the app that we just made with our HTML template.
And currently it will not work, right? Because we haven't added any post or get things.
There's nothing.
Not allowed. Cool. Okay, so we ran the application. Shall we check our knowledge? Let's check knowledge.
I think it's going to be 5,000.
5,000.
And I'm just going to assume we keep the template files in templates, Seems so. Right.
Perfect. We did it. Okay. That was the easy part. Now is the even easier part. This is where we're going to add the Azure. Sprinkle in a little Azure. IDK, my BFF chill. We love, you get our aesthetic. And bring back Neopets. We agree. We miss Neopets. Okay, let's see. We've got 5 minutes left. Should we try to tackle this now, or should we save it for next week?
I think we can do this part next week. But let's just say that if you're following along and you're a student, make sure you go to aka.ms/beepboopazure, just threw it in the chat, and you'll get a free Azure for Student subscription. And just to kind of show off how easy it is to use Azure for Students, I'm going to be using my Ornella for Students account.
Don't email her. She will not check it.
Yeah, I don't check that email. Please don't. But yeah, I'll be using the same account that y'all can access for free. So
I think this is a perfect stopping point because we did kind of load them with a lot of Python and Flask, especially if you're new to this. And I would recommend if you have not played with Python or Flask before, we very quickly went through this because we reviewed this together earlier. We had a rehearsal. We're professionals here. Okay. But I would recommend going through this module, which we've dropped the link a bajillion million times, but it's aka.ms/beepbooplinks4. And click through all the different various things. Like truly, it will show you how to set up your virtual environment. It will show you, like, literally it will walk you through the process of here's the Python module that you need for VS Code. It won't tell you about the autosave feature, which like changed my life today.
I'm going to bring in a new productivity tip every episode. That's going to be my new thing.
Yeah, truly, like,
Great.
You've saved my life in so many ways. Like,
we need to discuss this.
Oh my God, Neopets is alive and coming to mobile per their homepage. You know what? I think I did hear a little bit about this, and Hot Topic has some really good Neopet merch right now. May I just say?
Oh my God! So, I think we need to do a Beep Boop series about coding in Neopets.
Do Neopets have stats? Would they have a player efficiency rating? Because you don't fight them, right?
No, but I know some are more rare than others.
Okay.
And you could do like an omelet collection stats.
Okay, I love this. Stay tuned for a Neopets themed project, in addition to my Real Housewives project and our RuPaul's Drag Race project. Yeah, Brendan, oh my gosh.
Brendan, thanks for joining.
I adore Brendan. I'm happy almost birthday, Brendan. Brendan and I are birthday twins. Very exciting. Okay, I'm feeling good about this. And honestly, y'all, I was very kind of like scared going into this because I was like, I have not played with Python or Flask in so long. But and I know technically we're paid to say this, but it was very, very easy to follow along with the first part.
You did a great job because I feel like I understand it more now. Like I know Python, but I feel like I didn't really play with the like I only knew it in the context of data science. So it's interesting to also see it with Flask.
What's really great about Python and Flask is, so they always say like your boot camp or your college or whatever teaches you how to learn a language so you can go on and learn all the other languages. Right. And I felt like after I did my boot camp and I had this base knowledge of Python and Flask, I remember vividly, because it was very scary, in my first whiteboarding interview ever, they were like, hey, here's a take-home test in Ruby. And I was like, oh my gosh, I've never used Ruby. But that structure from Flask was a really good template, like a base way for my brain to think about like, oh, here's how I would make a blogging application or whatever it may be. But yeah. Franklin, how is Franklin doing?
Well, he mobilized to his bed, but let me see if I can get him.
Okay. Franklin, of course, if you are joining for the first time, is the mascot of our show. Last week, Franklin wore a turtleneck sweater.
Okay, I saw on Etsy you can get a customized leather jacket for your dog, and I feel like that's my next step. Come here, love.
I love this for you
and for Franklin. Really
okay,
Franklin. What's the question of the day for Frank?
Okay, Frank, thoughts on Flask, thoughts on skeletons, thoughts on Python.
What do you have to say? Anything?
Silence. He's having a moment.
He said it all makes sense.
Okay, good.
It all makes sense, right?
I'm so glad. We're going to do a supercut of every Franklin moment that we've had on the show because speaking of data, we've noticed that social media posts with Franklin do way better than ones with just us. So shout out to Franklin.
We know who the real star is here.
Obviously. And the mom. Shout out to the mom. And we never ended up with a good name. Maybe we work on this we'll marinate on it for the next week.
We'll come back to you next time with a great name.
If you're watching back and this is a recorded version of the show, let us know. Tweet at us. Be like, hey, Chloe and Ornella, I think we should be called Neopets. Although copyright infringement, so maybe not a great example.
Keep it all original, please.
All right. Well, I think like the only thing left to do really is to play our awesome song. But any final thoughts? Franklin? Ornella? Anyone? Before we end the stream for the day? Franklin. Franklin is giving me main character energy right now. I love it. Why does Franklin look 20 times better in a turtleneck than I do, though? Same question.
Next week he can wear he has like a yacht cruise striped sweater.
You know what?
Like Ralph Lauren.
I'm not joking. I have some props to send Franklin's way. We may need to sync up in the city. Thank you all for joining.
Thanks, everyone.
Super fun. We love learning along with you. Tell your friends, tell your mom, tell your dad, tell your sister, brother, your dog. Dogs love this content, I would imagine. Franklin loves it. And we are going to play us out with our outro music that we love. So until next week, we'll see you next week, 4 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, same place. And happy beeping and booping.